This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
So without any delay, again today we will not have a cushion of time for waiting for others or anything. So without any delay, let me start the session. So we are pending with the topic of APIs, right? So what is an API? Can anyone respond, please? What is an API? Quickly. What is an API? Yeah, need to respond.
It's an application program interface.
Okay, that is the abbreviation. But what is the API? Yes, guys. Prem, Pranay, Kishore.
For two applications to talk to each other, we use API.
Okay. What else? Just think. I can tell answer within a second, but I want you to think what is an API. So okay. So assume in the first session we discussed about we creating one SmartBricks application and all, right? So that is a web application, right? Web application. So they will outsource the integration logic to some third-party vendors like a Mule. Agree?
Yeah.
Yes. Please unmute your mics, everyone. If you respond, we'll go a little bit faster. Otherwise, we'll stuck up somewhere. Please unmute your mics and respond. So this is a Mule application. This is a web application. If this web application want to communicate or integrate with this Mule application, how?
API.
What API?
RESTful API.
No. What? This web application should be exposed as a REST API? Full.
Either REST or SOAP.
A simple question: this web application should integrate with this Mule application and want the whatever the orchestration logic, whatever written in this Mule application to be consumed. How it can be consumed?
Either through REST or SOAP applications.
What is the that REST or SOAP means what? I didn't get that point.
Web services.
You are telling everything in short. Please fulfill the statement. How this web application can communicate with the Mule application? I understand that what you are trying to do, what you are trying to tell, but it is not in the correct way. Yes, guys. How these web applications can integrate with the Mule application and consume the services present in it. 1 second. Let me close my web WhatsApp. Yeah, please go ahead. Tell me.
What it uses the HTTP protocol and the HTTP methods.
No, what you're telling is correct. Previously, what you told is correct. Why I didn't get the response? Like which application should be exposed as a service, web service?
So
This
the Mule application is exposed as
yeah.
a service because it's going to be consumed by the web
Yes.
application.
Of course, yes, right. So Mule application should be exposed as a API.
Web service. Yeah.
API, basically API. How can I create an API? We can create two types of APIs. One is SOAP, one is REST. in our program, we are going to see that Mule is exposed as a REST API. How we can design this REST API? Yes. How we can design this REST API? By using what?
In Mule, they use Design Center, right?
No, in the design center we use, but by what we by what we can design that?
RAML.
Yes. By using a RAML, can we design the API? Right? So in our program, we are going to talk about RAML. And one more equally popular, one more is there, one more tool,
Swagger.
Swagger, right? So RAML is very important, that we are going to discuss. So till now what we have seen the implementations by using a different strategies, right? We are treating that whatever the application, whatever the request I am getting from the from the postman, we are treating that as a requirement, and for that requirement we are writing the implementations part. Actually, what is SDLC? First, what is the first step?
Requirements
Gathering
gathering.
the requirements. Once you gather the requirements, we will design. Once the design is done, then we will write a
Integration
implementations, development. Then we will test it. Then we will deploy. If you want to apply some policies, we can apply some policies, right? So okay, out of these all steps, what and all we completed? We completed the implementation part. That means we understood about how to write the implementations and how to test by using an MUnit framework. And deployment strategies, we discussed about deployment strategies. So what is pending right now? We will go entire life cycle one more time, okay, today. So first we need to have the requirements, gather the requirements. Here in today's session, we are going to create one banking application. For that banking application, I'll give some name. I will give Prem Bank. Okay, Prem is having one bank. We are going to create one application for him, right?
I wish I had a bank.
We wish we are the partners to that bank. Yes. So every bank will have some customers. Agree? Whenever we are creating an API, first we need to identify what are main resources, what are sub resources. Okay. Now, can you please tell me? Every bank will have some customers. Agree? Agree to my point?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Out of that customers, how to identify a specific customer?
Customer ID.
Customer ID. Yeah.
Customer ID. Guys, please concentrate. Don't get deviate. It will be very interesting sessions these 2 hours. Customers. Out of that, we can identify customer by customer ID. Now, once you identify customer, that customer can have multiple accounts. Agree?
Yep.
Yeah.
How to identify a particular account?
Account ID.
Similarly, once you identify a particular account, account can have transactions. How to identify a particular transaction? Transaction ID. So we identified the main resources. We will call this main resources as a collection type as well. If you are able to, I mean, whatever I am telling in this session, the RAML part, if you are thoroughly understand about that part, you are in a position to understand the existing RAMLs. You will create your own RAML files, and you can clear the certification as well. Trust me, right? So collection type resources. These sub resources are called as member items or member types. Okay. Now we are going to create what type of API? By using a REST API, right? So REST API will contain some endpoints. Those are called resources, right? Now, if I want to map some endpoint to these customers, how can I map? / customers. Customer ID If you want to pass uniquely, then we can pass as a URI parameter. So how to write a URI parameter case? Curly brace,
curly bracket, customer ID.
customer ID. Similarly, for accounts, /accounts / customer underscore ID. Transactions / transactions / transaction ID. So in our progress, I mean, when I'm discussing about RAML, once I explain about for /customers / customer underscore ID, it will be repeated same for the accounts and account ID, transaction ID. Okay, you need to understand that part. Okay. One more thing, this RAML part technically not required that much knowledge. Purely it's a syntactical, that means syntax based. Every line, the RAML part what you are going to design, every line, every space is very, very important. Okay, every line and every space. RAML is totally developed on top of an YAML files. In YAML files, you may see in parent and child combination. DB is a parent, host, user, and password are child. So how to access that value? db.host, db.user, db.password. So parent and child combination. Here also the same thing. Parent and child combinations can apply it because this RAML is totally developed on top of an YAML files. Okay. First, what is the first step? We will gather the requirements. So in order to follow all these steps, I already created the documents for you. Go to the labs and workspace. Here you can see RAML part 1. Okay, let me expand that RAML part 1. RAML part 1, RAML part 2, and API management. So these are the three last which you talk about RAML, right? And one more thing, here you can see RAML docs, zip file. In the same folder, you can see RAML docs, right? Once you extract that RAML docs, here you can see huge set of documents I have given. Okay, see, if I sit and write all this text, I mean every syntax, it will take 2 months of time to create this RAML file, right? In the training program, we cannot do that. So I will explain the concept. The concept will be copy pasted. The syntax will be copy pasted from this RAML files which I already created, right? So, but practicing, when you are practicing the scenarios, I mean, when you are practicing, at least for one time, please type with your own hands so that you will understand where is space, where you are writing some wrong, and everything will be identified by you. If you simply copy paste from this RAML files, you will not identify the errors. Since I have done many times, I know what I'm trying to do, right? So once you get a confidence, please type. Okay, once you get a confidence, you just simply copy paste. In order to save some time, I have given this RAML files to you. Got it? Next, I opened this RAML doc. See, everything crystal clearly written, line by line, what to do and what is the next step to be processed, right? So in this lab, you will be working designing the REST API for a bank using a RAML. We are going to do that. So it is telling that open 01 resources and methods of a text file given in the RAML docs folder. In this RAML docs folder, it is asking me to open the resources and method text file. It's a requirement. Client is giving some requirements in a actions and a categories. I want to convert into resources and methods because we are going to create as a REST API, right? So what are the main resources and what are the sub resources I have according to this concept? Customers, accounts, and transactions, right? First, I need to identify that and we need to map that to the resource. So customers is mapped to what resource?
Customers.
Here I'm writing that, sorry. Slash customers. Accounts. Accounts. Transactions. Okay. Now just read this text and convert into resource and method. Yeah, anyone can go ahead, please.
Slash
Read the first one.
Slash customers.
No, read that sentence first, then we will map it.
Get list of all customers in the bank.
Yeah, what I can map a resource and what is the method I can map?
Slash customers and method will be get. I think. Get.
Very good.
Get all customers.
Slash customers. Method will be get. Next.
Customer
Yeah, Prem,
slash
Pranay,
custom-
please go ahead.
new customer means a new customer ID slash customers.
Why
slash
ID?
customer.
Why ID?
New customer. So
That will be a post.
customers. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh.
To submit the request, post method.
Yeah.
Next.
Here customers. Get customer information for specific customer ID. Slash customers slash ID.
Always ensure that we need to follow parent and child combination.
Okay.
Parent and child. Parent and child. Parent and child. Because we cannot identify a specific customer without multiple customers. First, we need to identify set of customers. From that, we can identify a specific customer like that.
So slash customers
Very good.
slash customer ID.
Curly brace.
Yeah.
Customer ID.
Okay. Method.
Get.
Get
Next.
update customer specific customer same customers slash customers ID.
Okay. Others also can participate. Only Kishore is responding.
Method is put.
No.
Update, it will be
Update.
patch, I think. Update patch, I
is
think.
for patch. Put is for replace. Next.
Same customers ID, delete.
Delete.
Tell me one more, okay? The remaining you can check from the solution. Tell the first one in the accounts.
Oh, get list of all accounts for specific customers ID in accounts.
Slash accounts
Slash customers first.
Oh,
Come again.
Parent and child, right? So
Slash
slash
accounts, right?
customers,
Okay.
then slash accounts, customer ID.
No.
No.
Get list of
Slash
all
accounts slash
for
customer ID.
No.
customer ID, right? So slash customers, slash
So
customer
first
ID,
we need
slash
to
accounts.
first we need to identify customers. Identified multiple customers. Out of that, I need to
Customer ID.
we need to identify the
Customer ID.
customer first.
yeah.
Yeah.
Out of that customer. Then
Slash accounts.
Account.
Accounts.
easy.
Yeah.
Method.
Get.
So for remaining text, the resource and methods are given in the solution. Okay, you can refer. Now, whatever the resources and methods I configured for the text, I want to configure. I need to design by using a RAML. I want to create as an API by using a RAML. So I need to design that. Where I can design? Yeah, where I can design?
Design center.
Under the design center.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
1 second. Give me a second, guys. sorry. So under this Anypoint platform, we need to have a design center. Under the design center, we can choose it. So design center. Click on the design center. So here we can see create a new. You can create a new API specification. What do you mean by specification? Yeah, what do you mean by specification? Guidelines, set of rules. Yes or no? Right? So I can create a new API specification, new fragment. What is the fragment we'll discuss? And new mule application. By instead of using a studio, we can create by using a beta version of the studio, which is on a cloud, and import a from file. That means if your YAML file is there in the from file system, you can import as well. Now I want to create a new API specification. What is the title I can give?
Frame banking.
Frame banking API. Right? I'm going to use this one. Click on create API specification. Once you create API specification, you can see welcome screen of a design center to create a YAML file. On the left side, you can see the file explorer. Yeah, this is the file explorer. Right now I'm in a file. And the second option is dependencies. What is the dependencies? How it can be used? I will let you know. And right now we are in a files. And what is the API name? Frame banking API.raml file. So the first line denotes YAML version. What is the YAML version we are using? And what is the title of that API? Right now, since I have written whatever you write in this canvas, on the right side under the documentation, you can see the UI preview, basically the preview, immediate the preview, whatever you write. Right. So I will tell small steps in order while you are designing that. Always take the cursor to the end of the line and click on enter. See, at this cursor level, what and all you can write that is suggested here down. This part is called shelf or a shield. We'll call this as a shelf or a shield. What are the keys available? You can select from this. Otherwise, you can just simply type. So now, right now, I want to give a base URI for this API. See, BAS automatically it is suggesting with the keyword base URI. I'm just giving something. I'm just giving some URL for that. On the right side, you can see the UI. Yes.
Yeah.
So whatever you write here in between, it will be given in the documentation, right? On downside, whatever you get, that is nothing but a shelf or a shield, right? First, let me configure the configurations of whatever you designed. That means whatever you mapped there. So what are the main resources? First, let me configure the main resources / customers. Always endpoint, see, always the resource should end with a colon. All the endpoints should end with a colon. See, I said every line will be having a 2 spaces as a delimiters to configure a child. See, if I click on enter, automatically it is taking 2 spaces as a delimiters. Right now I don't want that. Take the cursor to the first line, again / accounts, next / transactions. Next, right side you can see the endpoints, customers, accounts, and transactions. Next, I want to map this configuration / customer _ ID. So take the cursor to the line 1, end of the line 1, click on enter, / child customer _ ID, and end with the colon. Now you can see on the right side, again one more endpoint got created.
Yeah.
Similarly, / account _ ID / repeated for all. Yes. So why this alignment is very important? Based on this design, if you with a single click you can import to your Anypoint Studio. That is very important every space. Otherwise, my Anypoint Studio will not able to understand the format and it will not create a flows, automatic flows. That is the main reason. Okay. Next. Now, for this slash customers, what are the methods supported? Get method and post method. So you don't need to worry about the method, status codes, what to be written and all. Everything will be given by the client only. You need to know how to write it. That's it. So how to write get and post method to the slash customers? Take the cursor to the end of the line. Click on enter. Get method. See, again, get is having a 2 spaces as a delimiters. Every line will have the same. Now the alignment, that take the line to the first line. Now what is another method? Post method. On the right side, you can see first class customers get and post methods. Similarly, for this resource, what are the methods? Get, patch, and delete. Get, patch, and delete. Similarly, if I write for remaining resources, your file should look like 02 Ramel file. Let me edit that part. I will copy paste. See all these Ramel files which I already created and downloaded and given to you. You can use the same. So once I write for all remain, okay, when I'm designing, I have given a ACME. Okay, now what is my title? Prime banking. Okay, you can ignore that. Acme banking API. Okay, once I write all these resources, you can see on the right side. Yeah. What is the next step? See, all these things we are seeing, we have done just now. We're writing the base URI. I given a screenshot here. Once you write the main resources, after that you write a sub resources. After that, you can suggest methods for that according to the configuration. Finally, your file should look like 02 Acme Banking API. That is the first step. Understood everyone the first step?
Yep.
Clear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Next. I want to add a media type. What is the media type? See, if I place the cursor here, there is something called media type. It is supporting JSON and XML, right? So if I select as an XML, for entire Ramel part, okay, all the method and resource combination, that JSON, that XML format will be applied. Suppose for get slash customers, you don't want that XML to be as a MIME type or a media type. So what you can do? Take the cursor to the get method, click on enter. There you can write under a responses. Is there any responses key? Responses. Under that responses, if at all you are getting a success response from your client, so from the third party application, and that response, if you want to give back to your client by using the same status code, for success, what you can support?
200.
You can suggest from here. Thus, these are the universal standards. It's up to you. It's not a mandatory. If you are getting a success from the third party application, and for your client, if you want to display as an 400, that also you can do, right? So, but follow the same standards. Now, for response, what will be the body? What type of format? You can specify this. Right now, I want to override that XML with a JSON. You can override that. See, JSON. So this will be applied for all the resources and methods in your Ramel file. But if you can override that by using this option. Similarly, you can write other status codes also. Forget slash response type. If it is an error, then you can use a 400s. Let me use a 400. So every status code will have some description. You know about it? Every status code will have some description. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Suppose 200. What is the description?
Success.
Okay. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
You might have seen in your Postman, the response status code is an okay, right? Next, 400, 404,
404 is
500,
page not found, right?
page was found, 500, server error. So like that, for every status code, we have some meaning. If you want, go to the browser and just type for a HTTP a standard status codes description. Okay, you just type that word, you'll be getting many, right? So 404, I know it's an error. For that, I want to write a body. Under that body, I want to write some properties to be displayed. Like, you can select the properties. What are the properties I can select? I want to write some description about the error. So, description. Description could be of what type, what kind of data type. You can select from that. Maximum it will be a string type. Like that, if I can write any status code. After writing all the status code for all the methods and resources, your file should look like, after writing 500 status code also, your file should look like this. Very easy, right? Copy pasting option. Yes. So get method, response 200, 400. Post method also I have written 204, 503. See, you no need to worry of what is the status code to be supported for that particular method. That will be given by the client only. You don't need to worry about it. So you need to know how to write it. That's it. Request will have headers. Response also will have some headers. Agree? Yes, sir. Request will have some headers and response also will have some headers. So there is one header called response header called cache control. What is the cache control? Yeah, what is the cache?
So basically, we can set the time limit to which it has to be cached. So we don't have to go every time, but it can be picked from the cache.
So assume there is an application A and there is an application B. Client is sending some request. According to the request, A application is consuming the services present in the application B. Assume that they are sending that customer ID. They want the details with the customer ID. They are sending the request. It is application B is executing according to the request and returning some value, customer details. Right? That customer details, how my application A will understand that can be cached at an application level or not.
From the response header.
By using the response header called cache control, it will be mentioned as time, date time. Okay, till that time you can cache that response. Suppose client 1 is sending the request and you get that response. Client 2 also sending the same request. This application A should again send a request to application B?
No, it will pick from the cache.
And it can pick from the cache and it gives a response. Making a calls to the third-party applications are costly. So we can use this feature. So after writing that cache headers, see here, response header cache control expires by what date? You can choose any type format. Got it? And here we may see the body have given two formats. Why? Why two formats? See what we are trying to do here. We are creating a guidelines. Whoever for any web application or any client is using your API, they should follow these rules. They should follow these guidelines. That means they should follow they need to write the implementations according to this API specifications. So we are giving an option to the user. He can get a response in a JSON format or a XML format. We are giving an option to the user. Yeah, got it? Now here you can see for slash customers there is a post method. Under this post method we have a 201 and a 503, right? And 503 is having a body property status code. For this 503 means error message. 201 and 503 for a post method. Just come down. For slash customers or accounts there is a post method. For that post method again 201 503 same. For transactions post method 201 and 503 same. Yes or no? Is it not repeating? At least 503, is it repeating? Same body?
Yeah.
Yes. So if we have any same kind of a structure, what is as a developer, what you will get in your mind? Yes, please.
To write it globally.
write it globally, refer that and use it. Write once and use multiple times. Same concept you will get into your brain, right? Step 3 is talking about that. Example, for example, we are creating a banking application, correct? Banking application of for which bank? Brain Bank. Take an example of ICICI Bank. Take an example of HDFC Bank. This is an ICICI. This is an HDFC. This is an Brain Bank. For ICICI Bank, assume that there is a customer. Customer will have how the customer details will be stored. There should be some format. Agree?
Yeah.
HDFC Bank, for their customer, they should have some format. Like that, Brain Bank also should have some format. What do you will be thinking the format? Like customer ID. It may be the customer ID. Here it may be the cust ID. Here only may be the ID. So different formats. Do you think that the same format will be applicable to all the banks? No, right? Individual banks will have their own formats. Similarly for accounts. Similarly for transactions. So similarly for Brain Banking also, transactions or accounts. So my point is, every bank will have their own data types. We'll call these as the data types, right? Custom data types. So Brain Bank also should have the custom data type of a customer, account, transaction and all. How to create your custom data types? What are the data types are required? Just come down. Step 3 is talking about that. We want to create a custom data type as shown below. I have given already text here. You can configure the same thing in your RAML file. So what is the structure for a customer? I am using an ID, right? It could be any data type for that matters. I'm using a string by default. And prefix. And question mark represents what? Just use the normal common sense. You will understand that. What is the prefix? Question mark represents what?
Yes, sir.
Middle name, question mark. Suffix, question mark.
It is not compulsory, I guess.
Optional.
Is it an optional? All right. So ID, prefix, first name, middle name, last name, suffix, like that I created one structure for customer. Like that for accounts. Now in the customer, if you see the address is of what type? Address data type, right? So do you have any predefined address data type anywhere? No, right? So
No,
we need to create an address data type also. Now you can see address data type I created with address line 1, 2, city and all. So in the same way, we need to create one RAML file for a customer data type. We need to create one RAML file for an account data type, right? So what type of RAML files? Specific data type RAML files. Okay. Right now, what you are able to see here, any specific type RAML file is this? This is the main RAML file. How to identify a main RAML file and sub RAML file? Sub RAML file means specific RAML file. Let me create that. So I want to create these custom data types, right? So how to create? First, click on this plus sign, new folder. Folder name is what? Data types is the folder name. Because I need to create a customer, account, transaction, all these data types under this data types folder, right? So first, 5 minutes before, I discussed about a post method for all the resources, which is repeated for error method at least. So you can see 404, 406, 503. What is the body? Property, status code, and message. Property, status code, and message. So why can't I create one data type for error, and then why I can't refer it here? So I want to create a data type for a error, custom error data type. How to create that specifically? For that matters, any specific RAML file you can create in the same fashion. Under this data types folder, there is one more plus sign. Click on this plus sign. New folder. Sorry, new file. You need to specify what type of YAML file you need to create. You can specify any type of a YAML file. Right now I want to go with the data type, right? And what is the file name you can give? I will give as a custom error message. I am telling that this file is a specific data type YAML file. How can you identify that? How can you identify the difference between these two?
Extension name.
Now you can see at the name first line. Is there any anything after this YAML 1.0? No, right? For this custom error message, do you have any specific type?
Yeah.
Right. So any YAML file is an, what is the type? It could be of a object type. It should be an object type. So under that, I want to write some properties. What is the property? You can just copy paste from there the structure. I'm just copy pasting this one over there. See, if the alignment is wrong, automatically it will create some problem, right? See, the error has gone now, right?
Yeah.
So like this, you can create a data types for customer, account, transaction, address, everything, right? Instead of me creating all this, I already given to you by creating that YAML files. Now you can see the data types folder. These are all the data types which I created already. Okay, how I created this file? Custom error message. Same way you can create the remaining files also, right? Now once you create all these files, you can import that YAML files from the file system to your design center. How to import? Where I need to import? Under this data types folder, right? Click on these three dots, import. Choose a file. Where it is there? It is there on my desktop. YAML docs. Whatever there in these data types individually, instead of importing individually, I zip this file and create it as a data type zip file. I'm importing all together by using that. See, data type zip file I'm importing. Yeah, now you can see customer.yaml, account.yaml, transaction.yaml, address.yaml. So all these data types I created. At the same time, custom error message which I got from that folder, at the same time I also created one. So which is nothing but duplicate. Why it is not shown as a duplicate? Because C is in a small letter I have written the name of that file. So that is why it is not able to identify that. So right now what I need to do, I need to delete that duplicated file. Custom error message which I created, I need to duplicate. See, these are all the operations you can do on this YAML file. Rename, copy path, duplicate, download, delete. Right now I want to delete it. Okay. So once I create these data types, what is the use of this? Until unless I referred in my main YAML file, right? So I need to refer this to my main YAML file. How to refer? First, we need to declare on the top as a type. So copy the path. First, I want to refer the customer.yaml. Copy path. Where that copy path, where I can store that path, so that I can repeatedly use that. I will take that into some alias name. Customer. I am taking that alias name as a customer. How to include? We need to include the YAML file to this YAML file. How to include one YAML to another YAML? Exclamatory include.
Oh, include here. Okay.
Okay, and copy the path. Okay, or else instead of copying the path, it will suggest from here. You can see, give the space, control space. Click on the control space. How many folders I have? Data types is only one folder. Under the data types, customer.raml. Now, are you getting any error?
No.
On the right side bottom, if you see project errors, if you expand that, unresolved reference address. What do you mean by that? Yeah. If you go to the customer.raml, address is type of address data type, right? So I need to refer this address to my customer.raml. That means I need to refer or include that address file also here. So I'm just taking into include data types address. So now the error has gone on the right side, project errors. Yes, right? Like that, we can refer all the RAML files to my main RAML file. Once you refer, your file should look like data types. So once you refer all, okay, why I'm getting some error here? Yeah, here you can see data types T. T is in a small letter here. So I'm just renaming it. How to rename? Click on these 3 dots. Types. Yeah, is it updated behind the scenes? Right? I referred all these RAML files to my main RAML file. Now, while designing, I have some doubt. Okay, or else I want to take a feedback from my client about my design. How can you share this RAML file to your client? Assume that you shared that to your client. How can he understand that RAML file? He cannot understand the RAML files, right? He need to feel that as if he's getting the original data. That means we need to deploy this API and write the implementations. Once he click on that request, then only you will getting some response back. We need to create that kind of a feature or a feel to the client as if he's deploying the original application. What can I do for that? What can I do for that? Why can't we install some dummy data to the customer account and transaction? Instead of writing the original application, still we are in development stage. Why can't we write some sample data to that? Can I do that? You understood the point?
Yeah.
Yes. So for customer account and transaction, I want to write I want to initialize some dummy data to all these fields. So let me create one more folder, examples. Right. Under this examples, let me import one file. Under this examples folder, I created 3 examples. Let me import examples, then I will explain what is there present in it. I'm importing each individual file. We can import individual files and we can import entire files as well. So guys, hope you were able to follow me.
Yeah.
First time, if you are feeling that confusing, don't worry. It's very easy. Since you are listening for the first time, you may feel little bit difficulty, but just watch the video one more time. Automatically, you'll understand easily. Right? What is there in the customer example? See what I have given. I have given some dummy data. Account example, dummy data. Transaction example, dummy data. Yes. Now this data I want to refer to data types. So for customer.raml, I want to include this customer example. How to include? Take the cursor to the last line, click on enter, and take the cursor to the first column. Alignment is very important. When you are referring one example, you can use the example key. When you are using multiple example for the customer, you can use the examples key. So right now I have only one example, use the example key. Next, how to include, How to include one diamond to another diamond?
If I include.
Exclamate.
Exclude, sorry. Yeah.
Include
Exclude.
and take the path. Copy path. On the right side, you can see the UI, which example I referred, right? Next, account.raml. Example. Include.
Sorry.
Copy name, sorry. Copy path. Refer it. Like that, we can refer to the transaction example also. So once you refer that examples to data types, do I need to refer the examples to my main YAML file also? Do I require?
Yeah.
Not required. Because
Not required.
examples are already referred to data types. Data types are already referred to
The main one.
main YAML file. Not required, right? Now, data types and examples I created, correct? Now, at an organization level, same kind of a requirement is having for some other team. Same kind of a requirement. They also intended to create a data types and examples again. Do you really think that they need to create these data types and examples again? If you already created, why can't you share with them? Idea is correct. Why can't we share these data types and examples what you created? Why can't you share with them in the same organization? So if I am able to share the data types and examples, can I call these folders as an reusable assets? Yes.
Yeah.
That reusable assets are nothing but a fragment. We need to create one fragment. In that fragment is also nothing but a YAML file only. We'll call that as a fragment because that fragment contains data types and examples, basically the reusable assets. In our examples, data types and examples. How to create a fragment? Go to the design center again. There you saw some option, new fragment. Click on that fragment. Fragment name, frame banking data types. I'm just giving the name as banking data types. What type of fragment? You can choose any. I'm using a data types fragment. Create a fragment. Once you create a fragment, it's a simple nothing but a YAML file. You know already create how to create manually single folder like a data types folder, examples folder and all. Already those are available under your file system, right? So if it is there in a file system, can I import that data types and examples directly to my fragment instead of creating it again? Yes, right? How to import it?
Right click.
No, if you already have a folder, then you can import into that folder. But directly I want to import a folders itself. So on the right side, you can see settings button. Click on that, import. Same option. Choose a file. What file I want? See, these data types and examples I zipped together and I created a banking data types zip file. I'm importing all this. Okay, click on no, it's not required. Now you can see data types and examples, right? So what is the fragment name? Frame banking data types, correct? Our main YAML file name is what? Frame banking API. Okay, this is a fragment. There is a difference between these two. Now, how you can share your assets or API within the organization?
On the exchange, right?
From the exchange. So click on this publish to exchange. What I'm publishing? Frame banking data types I'm publishing. Whenever you are publishing any asset to the exchange, you need to version. You need to give the number. I'm just giving the one version. Publish to exchange. By default, select all the files present under that fragment. Yes, successfully published to Exchange. Click on Exchange. So Way to Learn is my company name. Under that account, under that exchange, under this Way to Learn account, what are the assets I have? Only one asset as of now. What is that asset? Prime banking data types is a fragment. So who are having the same account, they can log into the exchange, I can search it and they can add. Example, suppose Prem or Kishore is a person who is working in the same organization. They already created a fragment and published onto the exchange. Now, for my Prem banking API, I want to get that fragments to my project. Example, assume this data types, Prime banking data types is created by someone and they published onto the exchange, right? Now let me go back to our own API, that means main API. Prime banking API. So right now what I'm trying to do, I want this fragments to be used from the exchange. Right now in my API, from where I created, from where I referred the data types and all these examples from the local file system, correct? Assume I have not created this one. Someone has created a fragment with data types and examples and they published onto the exchange, right? So now I want to add that fragment as a dependency to my RAML file. Okay, then from that path I can refer to the customer account transaction in my application. So how to add that as a dependency? See, there is a second option, exchange dependencies. Click on that exchange dependencies. Click on a plus sign. I need to add that. What is our API name? What is the fragment name? Prime banking data types.
Yeah.
Who is created that? Sujit Kumar, the owner. And today, 13th April, right? Select that API data types. Add one dependency. It will be added as a dependency to your main API. You can see in the file system. So this is the path. Previously I created data types and examples. Now I get it from the data types and examples from the exchange. So for my main RAML file, from where I can refer right now? From the exchange. Example, take that customer.raml copy path. Instead of referring from local, get it from the exchange. Like that, you can refer to all the data types, right? You can delete from the local data types and examples folders. You can delete. That means not required. If it is already existing in the exchange, not required to create only. This is how you can add as a dependency. Understood, everyone? Everyone understood this fragment concept? Yeah. Fragment is nothing but a reusable asset. Understood? Not understood? How to create a fragment? How to publish that fragment as an to the exchange? If already published by someone, how to use that to your application? I shown in the two ways. Yes or no? Understood, everyone?
Yeah. Sujit,
Yeah.
you know, we done the example, right? For one type or data type. How we use that, for where we use the examples, like
examples. I'll show you. Till I didn't get.
Okay.
I use the examples and I refer to the data types. That data types are referred to my main RAML file here, right? Now I publish the API, publish the fragment to the exchange, right? Now I want to publish the API to the exchange. So first of all, I want to get a feedback from the client, correct? To get a feedback, how can client can give a feedback? You need to check that he is getting the data in a structured format or not. So you need to send some request and you will get some response. What type of response he will get? He will get a response of example data, correct? So for first, let me publish this API onto the, how client can access, first we need to publish this API to the exchange. From that exchange, we can share to the public portal. From the public portal, client can access that, correct? Before publishing this API, enable the mocking service URL. when client send a request, your API should be in a position to receive the request, right? Still we are in a design phase, not in a deployment state. So how your application will be accept the request? That is the reason we are enabling the mocking server. So mocking service configuration, click on this one and make it as a public. Here you can see any point MuleSoft.com, which domain is pointing to mocking domain, right? Your API will be deployed on that. Okay. Now, once I enable that, now go to the publish to Exchange. Is it published? Not it is. Yeah, asset version. Always you need to give the asset version. And what is the name? You can give any name. I'm just giving a V1 as a version number. Name, sorry. Yeah, once it is published to Exchange, I'm just refreshing that Exchange. Now you can see Frame Banking API. Just click on that. Click on the summary. So anyone come to the Exchange at an organization level, they can refer to this API and they can use this. Now, client is an external client. He cannot access the Exchange. What we can do from the Exchange, by using this share option, we can, which version I want to make send to the portal, V1 version of that application, save it. So from where we can access that, go back to asset list. Under this public portal, if you click on that public portal, one link will be getting public portal URL. So that public portal URL will be given to the client. So under that, what are the APIs are available? I can see, and Frame Banking API is the application. If you want to select, if you want to give a feedback, just he will select. See, right now in a portal, portal means I'm a client right now. So I can access that Frame Banking API. I will go to the summary and I can suggest, I can test any of the request. Suppose I want to select get request for /customer underscore ID. Now you can see this is pointing to what? Yeah, walking server, customer ID. I'm just giving some dummy ID and click on send request. As a client, I'm sending some request. According to that request, am I getting a response or not? From where I'm getting this response?
From the example data we given.
The sample data which I have given. As a client, am I feeling as if I'm getting the original data and I can see the structure, how they created? If everything is fine, it's okay. Otherwise, he will give some feedback and you want to do some modifications, he will let us know. We will do some changes. Again, the same process will repeat. Got it?
Yeah.
Understood everyone? So we created an API. Okay. What and all we learned in the design part? Design part is done. What and all we learned in the design part? We created an API and we create some reusable assets, nothing but a fragment, and that fragment is published onto the API at this, sorry, published onto the Exchange. At the same time, API also created and published onto the Exchange for the use. At the same time, that API can be shared to the public portal to share to the client. Understood everyone clearly?
Yeah.
Now, once the design is done, what is the next step?
Testing.
Testing. No.
Implementation.
Development part. So by using this API, if you want to write some implementations of your Mule application, how can you write it? We can import this API to your AnyPoint Studio. So let me create one application. I'm just giving the name as IMPL implementation. Okay. So import a published API if it is there on the exchange. Import YAML file from local file system. If already YAML file is available, then you can get it to the Anypoint Studio. If it is there in the design center, you can download it. That means you can import it. So let me go with this option. Okay, just browse that location where it is present. If it is in the design center, it will ask for the account, Anypoint platform account. So what are the APIs are present under that account? Frame banking API as of now. That is the only one. Just now I created an account. So click on OK. And still it, I mean, now it is packaging all this. 1 second. Yeah, now you can see, click on finish. The scaffolding will be success right now. Scaffolding means creating the by mistake, sorry, I missed one point here. It is creating some flows. Are you able to observe some flows here? Automatic flows?
Yeah.
What it is creating? For every method and resource combination in that API, it will, according to the whatever the body you return, it will create one basic flow, right? So let me come from the starting here. So first frame banking, this is the main flow, right? So what type of request you will be getting for here? Assume we are getting some request like this. Yeah. So normally we will send this such kind of a request, right? Now, my HTTP listener will listen for that request. On which port it is listening at? Let me edit that configuration. Okay, 8081. Let me change it to 8082 as of now. Purposefully, I'm doing that to 8082. Next, what is the path?
/API.
/API /star. Star represents any resource. Okay, any resource. It could be customers, it could be a customer underscore ID, any resource. Star represents any. The listener will listen for this request. Okay, and that request is shared to the next component. What is the next component here? API kit router. API kit router. Router means it will route that request to multiple or based on the functionality of the particular router, right? It will basically route the request. So what is this is the heart actually. This is the very important part. So what this API kit router will do? API kit router is pointing to one API. What is that API? Frame banking API.raml. Where it is present? Once you import under this SRC main resources, under this API, your frame banking API.raml file is present. This is what we imported right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Next. See, if I'm sending a request, put method, is that combination available? Put method /customer underscore ID /customer underscore ID. What are the methods supported?
Post.
Get, patch, and delete. There is no put method, correct?
Mm.
So once you send this request, what my router will do, it will check, is there any combination with this method and resource? It will check the combination. Is that combination available?
No.
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 If it is not available, it will throw some exception. That exception can be catched. See, what at API kit router level, what are the exception can occur? By default, it is created. So out of this, which exception will be matched?
Method not allowed.
How any error will be identified? Yeah. How any error will be identified? By using a namespace and a identifier. Right? What is the identifier? Method not allowed.
Not allowed.
If it is available, assume that I'm sending a get method. If it is available, so will it check in the resources? Sorry, in the automatic generated flows? Is there any flow with that combination? Get method, get method, get method. Is it the one? No.
Get cache. No.
So is it the one? Sorry, not that one, sir. I think this is the one. Get slash customers slash customer underscore ID frame banking API -config is the router name, right? This is the name of your flow. That means, is it pointing to the same? That event. See what the listener will do. Listener will convert that plain request into event. That event will be sent to this. It's simply like a flow reference. What the flow reference will do? It will refer to the particular flow. Simple. Here also it is routing to that flow. So according to the whatever the body you have written, based on that, this transformer is given here. If you want it, you can edit it and you can write your own logic. So by default, what is given here? Are you able to identify something from this expression? In the transformer section we discussed. Yes, please. Did we discuss about a variable? Global variable by using a data view expression? I created a variable. What is the variable name? Customer underscore ID. Once this data view expression evaluates, whatever the value I am passing here, that will be stored in this customer underscore ID variable. Right? That means in the event variable got created. That variable can be accessed across the project. Right?
Yeah.
Now, based on this customer ID, if I want to get the data from the database, can I get the data from the database? Example I'm taking, right? Yes, sir. Yes, sir, no, guys.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to add a database module here. If I use a select operation here and connect to the database, and from that event, can I extract a variable and get the data from the database? You know already how to write the implementations. I'm not going to show it again. Suggestion is, don't write the implementations in this automatic generated flows. Create one more XML file under SRC main mule, write over there. Okay, one more XML. And how can we refer one flow to another flow? By using the
Flow reference.
flow reference. What is the
Yeah.
scope of a flow reference across the project? Yes or no?
Yeah.
So use the flow reference here and you can use it. If you require this transformer, you can use it, otherwise no. Right? Assume you have written some implementation stuff of your program. That means your application. Let me deploy this application here. Where I am deploying this application? I am deploying on some server. Yes. So in order to get this request, what is the response? What is the request I need to send? 8082/API customer underscore ID. So once I send this request, once it is deployed, what is the response I get?
Get the customer details for that customer if it exists.
So in this case, right now, what is the response? The sample data. If you write the original implementation, whatever the data you are pointing to, that data will be given as the response, right? So is it deployed? Let me check. Are you able to understand this? Easy to understand?
Yeah.
Once I send a request, what is the response I'm getting here?
So data
Sample
customer.
data,
Yeah.
which I'm giving. If you point to database, that data will be given, right? Now, whoever having this URL can directly send a request to that application, original application.
At the moment, yes, yeah.
So what we discussed in our architecture of any point platform, go back to the sessions. Yes. So once I create and deploy the application on runtime, client can directly send a request to that application. But how can I validate the request is coming from the valid client or not? What I can do?
You can
Yes,
have an
yes.
authentication.
Can we write some policies on that? How to authorize the client? But where I need to write a policy? Or directly on the original application?
No, it says a proxy right there.
Proxy. We need to create something like a gateway in between. How to create a proxy? Where I can create a proxy? Under API manager. Yes or no? API manager.
Okay, yeah.
So manage APIs, manage API from Exchange, or you can create a new, or you can import as well. Right now I want to manage API from the Exchange. What is your API name?
Prem Bank.
Prem Banking API. Automatically it will select the type of API version and asset version also. And it's already with the base endpoint right now, right? Now I want to create an endpoint with a proxy. Endpoint means what? URL, proxy URL. Select that URL. Where you want to deploy, we can deploy on a cloud hub, that means directly on a cloud, or else by using a hybrid model, right? I'm selecting the hybrid model. And Mule version. If you are using Mule 4 or above, you need to select this option. Right now you are using what type of version? Mule 4, right? Mule 4. So that's why we are selecting this option. What is the original application URL? Is it a one?
Yeah.
8082/API, right? Save it. So, and that day I told, by giving the original application URL to API manager, I'm asking to create a proxy. So one proxy got created, and every proxy will be having a unique ID. Okay. Now, only creating a proxy is not helpful, right? That proxy is able to listen to the request given by the client. Correct? First step. So in order to listen to the request, proxy also to be deployed. And once it is deployed, the proxy also should have some URL. So add a consumer endpoint. Consumer endpoint means proxy URL. I'm just giving this URL. HTTP localhost 8081 slash. See, 8082 is mapped to 8081. Slash is mapped to slash API. Got it? This is the proxy URL given to the client. Right? Now, can I download that proxy? On the right side, you can see actions. Under the actions, download a proxy. I'm just downloading this proxy onto the desktop. So meanwhile, it is there downloading. What I selected, I want to deploy this proxy on a Cloud Hub environment. Sorry, not in a Cloud Hub, it's an hybrid environment. What is the process of hybrid? Go to the runtime manager. What is the process of hybrid? We need to register that server with the runtime manager first. So I just want to go with the 4.2 server. Let's see. What are the applications that are available? Let me delete it first. So servers, you know already these steps, that's why I'm doing a little bit fast. How to add server? Yes, please.
Long time, Sudhir.
Long time. cd to the directory. What are the change I need to do? Remove that slash and hyphen. Oh, go to the, if it is showing like this, I already given a task on this to you. I don't know how many of you done that. Yeah, it is authorized and it is created on server. Now I need to start the server. Bin folder, execute that batch file. Once it starts, what I can do? Yeah, server started. What is the next step? I need to go to the applications, deploy application,
Yeah.
choose a file, upload a file, which is there on the desktop, right? Just now it got downloaded, and I need to select the server and just give some name. Frame proxy. I'm just giving a frame proxy, right? Deploy application. So it is uploading now. So meanwhile, let me prepare a URL. So what is the URL I can send? Can you please tell me the URL?
8081. Localhost 8081.
8081 slash.
Can get rid of API.
Not
Customers. Yeah.
directly we can pass that because slash is mapped to slash API over there. If the mapping is correct and if it is deployed successfully, then what I can do? I can give a request. What is the response I should get? Same response how I got for 8082 port direct to the application if mapping is correct. Still it is loading. Yeah, it is started. Can I give a request now? Yes, am I getting the same response? Right?
Yeah.
One client is sending a request to proxy. From the proxy also getting the same request. What's happening here? Client send a request to the proxy. Proxy will send a request to Mule application and will give some response back. What is the use? What is use of this proxy now? Directly we can send a request to main application. No. What is the use? We want to write some policies. Correct? How can I write a policy? Where I can write a policy? Under this API manager. Select that application on which proxy. This is the proxy V1 for V1 application. I want to write a policy. So select that. On the left side, you can see the policies tab. Policies. So MuleSoft supports wide variety of policies. You need to have some knowledge on all the policies, okay, in order to apply. I will show two policies, okay, just to have some knowledge how to apply. The same concept you can apply for remaining other policies also, but you have some knowledge of it, right? So in order to make everyone understandable, since we have from people from different backgrounds, I will take some one basic policy and one moderate policy to show you how to apply. Same concept will apply for other policies as well. So how to apply a policy? Simple. Apply new policy. Click on this tab. So these are the wide variety of policies supported by Mule, right? Let me go with the authentication. All the policies will be released with a version. I'm selecting the version, configure policy. Right, I'm just giving a name, username and password to authenticate it. I'm just giving a print as a username and password. And you can apply that username and password for all the resources methods in that API or else a specific method and resource. Right now, let me go with the all. So just by clicking on the API, don't think that it is uploaded, it is applied. You need to get a confirmation from the logs. Hardly it will take 30 seconds. Now you can see basic authentication method for all the methods and resources got applied. 1 second. You need to get a log here. Otherwise, I'm sending a request. You can see without any authorization, I'm getting a response, even though I clicked on apply. Now you can see the log. Applied policy HTTP basic authentication. Right? For which API? Frame banking API. Okay, this is the proxy number, right? So let me send a request now. I'm getting some exception. If I want to get a response to authorize, authenticate, to authenticate, under the authorization as a client, I need to send a username and a password. Will I get a response now?
Yes.
Yes, am I getting a response? Right? Now, if you want to delete a policy, simple again. You can see on the downside actions. You can edit, disable, or remove. I'm just removing that. Once I remove, again, you need to get a log. Am I getting a response? Of course, without sending authorization also I need to get. So until unless you get some log. So who is reading this policy when I applied? Yes, what is that thread name? Security interceptor. Whenever you apply any policy, that will be parsed by that security interceptor and it will be applied on the proxy. Once it is applied, you can see policy HTTP basic authentication unapplied. Got it? Next. Can I apply one more policy and show you? Apply new policy. Okay, I will have requirement. As a API owner, I want to restrict the incoming traffic to my application. For 1 minute, I require three requests, only 3 requests in a minute. How can I cut down that? How can I monitor that? By applying some policy. Which policy? Rate limiting policy. All the policies will be comes with the version. Always take the latest version. Number of requests. 3 requests for a time period of 1. You can select from millisecond till year. I will go with a minute. and I will apply for all the methods and resources. See, these 3, 1 and all coming from the cache previously when I used. Okay, from there I am getting from the cache. Okay, don't get confused over there. Apply to all methods and API methods in the YAML file, that means in the API. Let's see. So how many times I need to get an output?
3 times.
3 times.
Still it is not applied. Yeah, now it is applied. Applied policy rate limiting. Now let me send a request. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Exception. It is not allowed, right? Yes or no? Can I apply multiple policies at the same time?
It should be, yeah.
Yes, we can apply. Okay, while practicing, I showed basic authentication and rate limiting, right? Try to apply these 2 policies at the same time. Got it? That's all from my end. Any questions? Any questions?
Sujit, there's AnyPoint platform, so that's available as a trial version only for 30 days, right?
30 days only.
And like, can we use a different ID again, like to
Yes,
on
no need
same
to
issue?
change anything, only change the username and password. Enough. But
Okay, fine.
that will be treated as a new account only. Whatever APIs you created already in your previous account will not be moved forward, will not carried forward.
Yeah,
What you
that's
can
fine. Yeah,
do,
okay.
you need to import the travel file onto your local folder, local machine. Then you can export to your inner account. You can use over there again.
Okay.
Got it? Any questions about our course? Yeah, guys, are you there?
Yeah.
Kishore, Mike, Rajesh, Vishnu, Ashwin, Pranay, Prem. We started with around 13, 14 people. Now left with 7. Any questions you want to share with me? Anything you want to share with me?
Sujit, about the certification.
Okay, 1 second. No questions on the subject wise? Everyone, I'll stop the recording. No?
There are gaps, Sujit, but I have to practice.
Yeah, use it. Okay, 1 second. I'm stopping the recording, guys. Thanks for joining.